It's your girl, Nancy Red, and this is season 3 of Mompreneurs, where we celebrate beautiful Black entrepreneurs who are also amazing moms. Now, each week we chat with guests about how they're killing it simultaneously as a business mogul and a mom. We listen to their life stories and inspiring advice. And today's guest I'm obsessed with, okay? She is a celebrity orthodontist with over 20 years of experience, and she's always been known for having a big mouth as a kid, and she has turned that into a Shark Tank approved business as the inventor of the Big Mouth Toothbrush. And she's also the owner of Aces Braces in Philly and Brooklyn. She's winning at life. She's here to help your mouths look beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Bobbi, for being here.
Round of applause. I love that.
I love it. Okay, you are so much more than even that. Okay, before we even get into any of this, before we get into your mother, the story, with all your entrepreneurial endeavors, the difference between being a dentist and an orthodontist. Girl, you told me that you were one of the original people behind the tooth gem.
Yes, I didn't think you were gonna bring that up right now, but yes, let's talk about it. So
I just really quickly, I just need to know, at what point did we just decide to bling in teeth?
Okay, so I started right out of dental school. I'm not gonna give that year away, but but I literally I was one of the first dentists to begin blinging out teeth with tooth gems. So one of my first companies after I started Aces Braces, fresh out of school, was called Oral Fixation, where I designed my own line of tooth jewelry. I actually collaborated with a jeweler from Jersey and designed my own line of tooth jewelry called Oral Fixation. So we had and still have all color tooth gems. We have zodiac signs. We have Greek symbols. We have numbers, hearts, stars, whatever you want. So we can get them custom made. And that's literally how I became the celebrity orthodontist and how my platform kind of grew and kind of stabilized, because we did some custom pieces for Fetty Wap's production company. So that's how my platform grew on social media with the tooth gems.
Okay, Dr. Bobbi, you're amazing. So, in other words, aside from being an entrepreneur, which a lot of doctors are entrepreneurs, people don't realize that because starting your own practice is a hella move. Okay, aside from that, this is not your first rodeo with the Big Mouth Toothbrush.
No, it isn't. It is not my first rodeo. The Big Mouth Toothbrush is something that is, I would say, nearer and dearer to my heart and who I am, because I've always been a tooth person. I mean, my whole life is teeth, right? I mean, tooth gems, that's cool. Lip glosses, that's cool. But I really take pride in the fact that I designed something that could improve, or is improving oral health care.
I love it. And here's the thing, what's so interesting about what you do is you've been doing this for a really long time. You know what you're talking about. Before we get too far into the business side of things, let's get a little personal though. Who in your life puts the mom in mompreneur? Who's in your household?
Oh my God. So my daughter, we call her Barbie. We have the same name. I don't know if you guys saw the Shark Tank episode, but my mom's name is Barbara. My name is Barbara. My daughter's name is Barbara. That's just what it is. But we all go by different names. So my mom goes by Barbara, of course. I'm Bobbi, and my daughter is Barbie because she's just an adorable little doll. But she's not little anymore. So she's a grown woman with her own family right now. So she is my one and only. Her name is Barbie. She definitely takes after me in every way, good and bad. Love her dearly. And she actually lives in Philadelphia and runs my Philadelphia office.
I love it. And you don't hear any shade from me. I saw that your daughter's name was Barbara, and I was like, hooray, because my daughter's name is Nancy. I'm Nancy Amanda. My mom's name is Amanda. My grandma's name is Nancy. My great grandma's name was Amanda.
Oh
So, like, I laughed there. I was like, the only thing we got left from enslavement was this name. So we keeping it.
Yes, keep it going. Keep it going. That's exactly. Listen, the names run deep in my family. Like we have my dad, my brother's named after my dad, my other brother's named after my grandfather. His son is named James. Like, yeah, we keep the names in the family. They're very powerful and they mean a lot. It means a lot.
in the family, you keep the family in the business, which is fantastic because the whole point of this podcast is to talk about ways to build generational wealth because my family climbed out of poverty with businesses. And
Yes.
I think that one of the best ways to insulate yourself from racism, from ism, from classism is to be able to make your own little money on the side sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's super important. So when my daughter, she is my treatment coordinator, but when she was with me in Brooklyn, growing up, and I opened my first practice in 2008, she was my front desk person. So she evolved all the way from working my front desk and me showing her everything about all the softwares and learning all the terminology and all the technical terms of dentistry. She moved from that to being now my treatment coordinator, and she runs my Philadelphia practice. She runs both practices because she's married to an IT genius, and he's made it so that she has a presence here in the Brooklyn office. So she's on all the screens. She does all my consultations with me. We do treatment plans together because she's super knowledgeable. So imagine, getting on the job training for all these years. So she's damn near a dentist. Like she knows all of the terminologies and she knows everything about billing. And it's just a pleasure to work with her.
I love that. And it's so important because the reason I do this podcast is because as moms, we really do care about the continuity in our families and building generational wealth. And I say all the time, my family climbed out of poverty with businesses, with family businesses and keeping them running. And it's a great way to insulate yourself from all of isms that our society can present. So it's wonderful that you are passing down not just a name, but a heritage.
Absolutely. And what I tell her is like, because I don't want to work forever, right? I want to retire in like 5 years. So my goal is to make sure that both practices are set up so that she will not only run them, but she will be able to hire dentists to, take my place. And then I could be in Miami with my mom at Art Basel right now.
With your OG Barbara
My
living her
OG
best
Barbara,
life.
exactly.
Now, when we look at this, though, does entrepreneurship running your family, or are you the first entrepreneur?
I would have to say that I am definitely one of the first entrepreneurs in my family. I do definitely have, so I'm the youngest of eight, and my siblings range from doctors to truck drivers to, people who struggle with addiction. Like, there's a variety of us. And I think that I'm the first to like own my own business, like businesses, but we definitely have, certain levels of success within our family. So, and then as you know, being an entrepreneur, there are when you're in college, you're limited in as to what your researches are. You're you're limited as to what your resources are in terms of learning how to run a business effectively. Like running a business is a hands-on job. It's like there are so many things that you cannot learn or that school cannot teach you in order to have a successful business. I'll put it that way.
This is very true, and which is why it's a miracle that you are doing so well with all of the businesses you have. You have aces braces in not just one expensive city, Brooklyn, but also in Philadelphia. And on top of it, you have all these different businesses like your Tooth Gems business that's still running, and what we are here to talk about, the Big Mouth Toothbrush, which is your latest and greatest invention.
Yes. So the Big Mouth Toothbrush, that is my baby, that is my heart, that is my passion at this point. About 3 years ago, oh my God, it's almost 2025. Oh my gosh, Nancy, it's almost 2025. Um, about, about a little over 3 years ago, well, let me back up. The idea came from me speaking with my family. So, like I said, I'm the youngest of eight. We have a family call with both of our parents every Sunday at 3 o'clock. We've been doing this for I don't know how long, definitely over 5 years, since before COVID. And the idea stemmed from me having a conversation with them. So, what I saw in my practice was a higher prevalence of gingivitis and periodontitis, and especially with orthodontic patients or patients with braces, adults and children, it's somewhat challenging to keep your teeth clean. So we saw that, we did a survey, found out that most people do not brush for the full 2 minutes. So I sat back and I got with my team of hygienists and I'm like, you know what? we need to find a toothbrush, or I need to design a toothbrush that could be more effective. So I started to research some of the most current electronic toothbrushes, and I didn't personally like the fact that the heads were getting smaller and smaller. So I'm like, on one hand, I have all these patients that have all these issues brushing or keeping their teeth clean, right? On the other hand, I have these bigger companies, bigger, widespread companies that are making these toothbrushes that are so skinny that are just not practical. Like, yeah, people like skinny because it supposedly looks better, but I just didn't think it was practical. So I got with a team of engineers. Fast forward a year, 4 prototypes later, we came up with the design of the Big Mouth toothbrush. I think I have one right here. So the patent that I have on the toothbrush is the width of the toothbrush head. So, like as I said before, 4 prototypes later, we came up with the perfect width of a toothbrush that can fit in the posterior region of the average size adult's mouth. Um, as I was going through the process of designing, I was being exposed to all the different types of bases, and I was like, you know what? If the head is wider and we're covering more surface area, why not create different pulsations? Or why don't we make it so that it feels more like a spa? Because girl, we know how we love a spa. We know how we love a spa. So that's how we coined the term spa in your mouth. So it has the 5 different pulsations. And another reason why that was a good idea is because a lot of people don't have electronic toothbrushes, and sometimes they don't want them. And a lot of people don't want forceful vibrations because this toothbrush is sonic, right? And we'll go over that later, like the difference between electronic and sonic. But this toothbrush is sonic, which means it's one of the most powerful. And I just wanted to make it so that there was a setting for everyone, different pulsations, different intensities. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had something for everybody. So there is the Big Mouth toothbrush. So we launched in January 2022.
And when did you come up with the idea? When did you say, I'm going to make a big toothbrush?
Okay. So after talking with my family, my brother James came up with the name because we were like, Dad, what should the name be? But at that point in time, 3 years ago, all I knew was that I wanted the head to be bigger. That's all I knew. But after discussing it with my family on the family call, my mom, I'm sorry. My mom was the first person that was like Mighty Mouth or something like that, because that's what she used to call me when I was younger. Like, she was like, oh my God. If you can imagine, I have like 5 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the smallest one with the biggest mouth and the most animated, and the one that really feels like they need to be seen. That was me when I was younger. I'm not like that now. But no,
like because you've been seen. So the thing is, I say kids are like that when they really want to get enough. Once you get enough,
and then good. Thank you. But yes, and I was the smallest one in the house, but I had the biggest mouth. So my mom was like, you need to call it Mighty Mouth with your mouth. And then everybody laughed, and we sat there for a little bit, and then my brother James was like, just call it Big Mouth. It's like, big mouth is a term that when you're younger and you're very boisterous like I was, it's something negative. So I kind of turned it into a positive, because it's like, you know what? Have a big mouth, be outspoken, say what you mean, be powerful, So that's how I kind of looked at it. And I love the mouth. So I love the name. So I moved forward with that. Started doing my trademarking, and
And when was this? What year was that all of that happened?
Okay, so we went through, it took from 2000, I guess maybe 2001, 2002. That was when all of the cooking was happening.
Okay, so that's what's important, because a lot of mompreneurs are over here listening. It seems like your rise to fame just happened overnight. Like all of a sudden, you've been thinking about this. You've been hoping for it. You've been praying on it for 2 decades.
Yes, but I knew how to execute, because this is not my first business. So certain things that I took from my other businesses, I put into this. So as soon as I knew what I wanted to do and I had the design, I started the patent process. I started the trademarking process. I got with a lawyer. I started to look for manufacturers. I started to do testing, and started to think about what platforms I wanted to sell on initially. So of course I was direct to consumer initially. I got a Shopify account, went direct to consumer. I locked in my Instagram for the business. I locked in the Facebook for the business. I started to do all those things. I did all those things within 1 year, so that by the time I launched in 2022 January, I had all those things in play.
And
One
what
thing.
made you realize that you were totally ready though? Like you had been thinking on it for 20 years, and then in the very short period of time, you were like, it is time. And you just rolled immediately. What was the catalyst for you to say, I'm finally doing my big toothbrush?
So I only thought about it for about 6 months before I executed. So, even though I've been in the dental field for a while, there were certain things I just noticed in my practice where after speaking with some colleagues, they pretty much said the same thing about the rise in periodontitis and everything. So, um, I'm just one that does not sit still, and I take chances, and especially with an idea like this, it just felt like it made a lot of sense. So I went right after that call. I'd say maybe within weeks after the call with my family in 2021, I got to work like that next week. I was looking for patents. I was looking for lawyers. So that's just the ambition in me. That's just the ambition in me. I'm like, yo, this is definitely something I definitely want to do. And I knew what I needed to do to make it happen. So I executed.
One of the great things about what you did is you moved so quickly. You had just been launched. How many months before you said, I'm ready for Shark Tank?
Okay, that's a good question. So the application process for Shark Tank for some people can take months to like years, right? Um, Launched in January. I applied for Shark Tank in June, July of the same year. Received an email from them in August of the same year. Pitched for them in September of the same year. And what a lot of people don't know about Shark Tank is you can go through all those rounds, and you can make it all the way to pitch in front of the sharks, which is a very stressful process. You can make it all the way in front of the sharks, and you may not air, right? Like that's the
Horrible.
biggest thing. Yes, whether or not you get a deal or not, your episode may not air, and that's the most important. Let me say this again. The most important part about being on a platform like Shark Tank is making sure that your episode airs. Because if your episode does not air, you don't get that rush of sales. You don't get that brand awareness, whether you get a deal or not. Whether you get a deal or not,
Right.
the airing is everything. I think a lot of people didn't know that. So another thing you don't know is they don't tell you if your episode is going to air
Oh my
until
God.
weeks before.
That's so stressful.
And the thing for me was the day I can talk to you more about the process, but the day that I pitched, there were tons of entrepreneurs there, right? So you get to meet other entrepreneurs. And like I said, I pitched in like say September. Some of the people that I pitched with, their episode aired in like October and November and January. So I'm seeing all these people that pitched with
Oh
me,
no.
and their episodes were airing. So I'm thinking my episode's not gonna air. I'm just like, this is nuts. Cause I know I did a damn good job. Like, you know, like I really worked hard for this. So I'm like, that really sucks. My episode, Nancy, my episode did not air until March of the following year, March of 2023. So, yeah, you can imagine how stressful that was.
But also how exciting the whole thing is because not only did your episode air, but you also were funded by Barbara, right?
So I got a deal with Barbara Corcoran. She's amazing. I love her, by the way. Um, and yeah, so I did get a deal, but I wanted to stress to your viewers that the most important thing is launching. The sharks, the sharks are amazing, and I've definitely been introduced to a lot of people that have gotten deals with some of the Shark Tank sharks, and some of them are hands on, some of them aren't. I guess it just really depends on your business. There is a wide variety in the types of deals that you get, right? Like some people lock in a deal that you see on TV. Other people like me lock in a deal that you don't see on TV that you can't speak about. You know what I mean? So there's a wide range of deals that are being made on
Well,
screen and off screen.
how did your family react? Because you've been a very successful entrepreneur, but in ways, I think it's so funny because the often success is in, especially the best kind of success is the kind of success you can't see, right? Like the fact that you have these practices. For many people don't realize how lucrative they are, how much it takes to run them, but also how great they are, right? But then when you go on Shark Tank with a toothbrush, everyone's like, "Oh man, you're a real business person." Did you find that people saw you more as a business person because of the Shark Tank than they had before? Did you get more respect as a mompreneur?
Um, that's actually a good question. I think that I had a very powerful platform before Shark Tank, as an entrepreneur, because like as I told you, I had the tooth gem business, I had like lip gloss business, I had my practices, and I do think that I was very well respected as a businesswoman and as an entrepreneur prior to Shark Tank. But what Shark Tank did was give me much more exposure. So I wasn't just known in New York, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. Those are the places that I, frequent and do events and things like that. I'm known, in California now, or in LA. Like I have followers from all over the country now. I have some followers in
Love
Africa.
it.
So it's the expansion is real when it comes to
And you sold out of the toothbrushes after Shark Tank. That was the wild thing. You were like, you got to get aired because, oh my gosh.
I sold out within 24 hours. I don't know how I don't know how any entrepreneur could seriously plan for that type of exposure, given the amount of time that they give you to prepare for your airing date. Like I don't know how better I could have prepared for that.
Amazing.
But yeah, I'm just super grateful for the
But you work hard for it. You should be. I laugh. We're Niecy gnashing. You should be grateful to yourself. Because what has motivated you? Because you were actually, were you an entrepreneur before you were a mother? Which came first, motherhood or entrepreneurship?
So I had my daughter when I was 4. So I would say, yeah. No, I'm just saying, because my daughter's 30. So
I was like,
I'm of a
wait, this
certain
is
age.
this is
Okay.
some fuzzy. I was like, wait, what? Like that's a whole other camera. That's another podcast, Dr. Bobbi.
No, no, no. No, 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 Nancy. I kid. I'm just joking with you. So yes, I had my daughter when I was a teenager. So I was definitely a mother before I was an entrepreneur. But I had an entrepreneurial mind before I was a mother, if that makes sense.
And let's talk about it because that's what this podcast is about. This is
Yeah.
incredible. You're the youngest of 8. You have your daughter when you're a teenager,
Hmm.
and here we are. Too many years later, you're
Hmm.
living your best life. So you are literally an inspiration to a lot of people listening right here on everything. How did dentistry enter the picture? Where was that part of the plan? Like, so I'm going to you're a teen mom.
Hmm.
How do we go from teen mom to dentist entrepreneur?
Well, it wasn't that easy. There. Hmm. So I was always a tooth person. So I can talk. I'll speak a little bit about where the whole dentistry thing came from. So uh, my biological father, was a dentist, but I wasn't raised with him, right? So that wasn't something that entered my mind until a lot later. I always did like teeth, and I was like a science geek. Like, when I got to college, I majored in biology, and I really loved science, but I didn't want to become a medical doctor. I don't deal with death well, and sick kids and sick adults and stuff. So I was like, maybe I won't be a physician. So what else can I do? I said, you know what? Let me try dentistry because I do really love teeth. And if I like it, I'll stick with it. And applied to a few schools. Ended up going to Howard, the real HU, and the rest was history. Once I got on that clinic floor, okay, first of all, I was not very well accepted because I had a certain style about myself going to Howard, and we can talk about that. But I definitely made it happen. I got really, really good grades. Eventually, the teachers loved me, um, and I just stayed true to myself, like through every level, from being a teen mom to going to college at Drexel to going to dental school at Howard to my residencies, being the only Black person to finish my orthodontic residency, even till this day. The orthodontic residency I went to was at Maimonides. It's a Jewish hospital in Brooklyn, and it's a 3-year program. And to this day, I'm still the only Black person that finished that program.
Why do you think that is?
Because they only accept 2 people per year. Orthodontics is a very, very selective specialty. That's why there aren't that many of us. Literally 2 per year they accept.
So here's the thing: all that stuff that caused you suffering, where you felt like an outsider,
Mm-hmm.
somebody realized that you were about that because you got selected. What do you think? Why do you think you were one of the 2?
Um, I think because I'm a very, very hard worker. So some of the like criteria in order to get into an orthodontic program, of course, is great. So everybody that applies to a specialty program like that at a dental school, you've got to have good grades, right? So my grades were decent. Um, there were people affiliated with Maimonides that had heard of me and had seen me in my previous residency I had done at Kings County Hospital, and
Right.
they knew some of the people that gave me references for that position. And I would just have to say, Nancy, that it's just a collective. It's a combination between um, academic smarts, your attitude, your work ethic, and I want to say, being aggressive, like being aggressive and being confident. Like when I walked into that interview, I walked in like I had the position already. Like I still remember to this day. It was in 2008, and I walked in. I walked in there like, "How are you?" Now, mind you, these are older Jewish white men. There's like 3 of them sitting there, and they see my little black face get in there. I was like, "Hey, how are you?" Gave them very strong, powerful handshakes. Looked them in the eye when I was speaking to them. Was just very direct and just very confident, and I feel like they felt that I could bring something really, really good to the program. So the rest is
Whatever that was that caused some friction earlier was what brought joy. And so let's talk about it, because there's levels of dentistry, right? Like when we talked about it earlier, orthodontia is that's where the power moves are. And as someone who's currently paying way too much for my child's Invisalign, let me tell you, I know. At what point did you realize that not only was being a dentist a calling, it was a brilliant move for your life?
So while I was in dental school, so when you're in dental school, well, most dental schools, you are exposed clinically to different disciplines of dentistry by your junior or senior year. So first 2 years, just like in med school, everything is academic. And then you get to do a little bit of hands-on work. You get to do a couple fillings, a couple cleanings, things like that. But when I graduated from dental school, I just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't know what discipline I wanted to go into. So I did a year of residency. I did a year residency at Kings County Hospital. For those of your listeners and viewers that don't know, Kings County Hospital is a level 1 trauma hospital. Okay. So you, as a resident, as a dental resident, you're on call with the medical residents and you see everything. You're exposed to every discipline of dentistry, from surgery to endodontics, which is root canals, to orthodontics, which is, braces, to pediatrics, which is working with children. So we can do a whole nother show about what I've seen at this hospital. But I said all that to say that doing that 1 year residency gave me the experience to know which specialty in dentistry I wanted to do. I knew I did not want to do general dentistry because the things that I wanted to do in general dentistry didn't bring a lot of money. Like fillings and cleanings, I could do fillings and cleanings all day. Oh, this is great, but it's not going to bring me any money. So I had to look into being a specialist, and that's during that program is when I realized my love for orthodontics.
And that's really when the entrepreneurship begins.
Yes.
Because the difference between being, for people who, a dentist who just does fillings and stuff, and a practice, we're talking an investment in yourself, a bet on yourself, and a lot of work that is not dentist oriented.
Yes, and a lot of work that they do not treat, that and a lot of work that they do not teach you in dental school. So there's no course in dental school, like most graduate schools. There's no course that tells you how to start a practice. There's no specific course that says, okay, if you want to, have your own practices, this is what you do. You know what? I just thought of something. I should probably teach a course on that. But
Girl, you should totally teach a course. You should totally teach a course on it, because there's so many ways that you did it right. And for anyone listening, step one, dentistry, I'm going to assume you would suggest any mom get into, because that's good money. You can work
yes,
the hours you want to, and the
yes.
specialties. I'm going to guess that you would argue, I'm going to speak for you and say that dentistry, orthodontia, everything is a great career and business path for a mompreneur.
And I'm going to reiterate that. Not just dentistry in terms of being a dentist, but a hygienist. Dental hygiene is important. They get paid.
They cannot find enough of them. Those ladies can work overtime. They can call their money out.
Especially in New York, you can demand what your salary is as a hygienist. Okay.
And the hygienist, for people who don't realize, is the person who does the work for the
well, you know what? The hygienist is the person that gives all of the oral hygiene instructions. They're the ones that do all of the cleaning. They're the ones that tell you and teach you how to take care of your teeth. Like that is their specialty.
Yeah, so I think that this is such a great episode for mompreneurs. But also, when you started your business, one of the things that you did for anyone starting a business, I mean, when we look at certain businesses, we always hear, well, McDonald's is not in the burger business; they're in the real estate business, right? And you are, excuse my, I hope I'm not overstepping, the only Black orthodontist in Brooklyn that owns her own business and practice, and owns her own building and practice.
So yes, I found that out after the fact. I found that out after I purchased my building.
Because you're not, there's no renting in this, which is a difficult way at first, but then the benefits are covered, because a lot of times you sign these 20-year long leases for your office space, and it's a little easier at first, but then you end up down the road. And
yeah, you have to be very, very careful with the timing and the types of mortgages that you get. So yes, Nancy, you're correct. I am the only, Black orthodontist in Brooklyn that owns the building. Now, that came with a lot of mistakes. So I tell you straight up, I knew ultimately that I wanted to buy a building or a practice, but it's just not easy. Like you said, if it was, then everybody would do it, right? But I started out renting, and I had two nightmarish incidences, and I'll do this really quickly. I had two landlords. So my first office in Brooklyn, opened it up. It was going really well. I put tens of thousands of dollars into that building to set my practice up. Come to find out, the person that owned the building was watching, like, how many patients I was having. They saw my waiting area was always full. In New York, when your commercial lease is up, that landlord can raise your rent however much they want. So my 5-year lease was up. He raised my rent by $1,000 and only gave me 30 days notice. So I played dumb. I was like, I don't know what you mean. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. For 3 months, while I was moving up the street to a new place that was being built. So I didn't resign that lease, moved, I think, 2 blocks up, and stayed there for another like 6 or 7 years. And that landlord did the same thing to me. When I told him, and he looked like me, and he did the same thing to me. So I was like, you know what? I played dumb again. I'm like, all right, yeah, I need 3 months. Da, da, da. Meanwhile, I was making sure my credit was already good, but I was, improving it. And I purchased this building that I'm in right now, and we have tenants upstairs. That it was just an amazing move, because the tenants alone cover the mortgage, and then we make it work. I have a juice bar downstairs called Thirst RX, and we provide healthy juices and sea moss and things like that for other businesses in the area. We provide the juices to nursing homes, and
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love it.
And then you encourage them to brush their teeth after drinking that sugary juice with
Right,
your Big Mouth Toothbrush. but most importantly, what this is about is you created a path, and what you said is important. You said, I made a lot of mistakes, but you can't. That's one of the things I think you have to make the mistakes. If you don't make the mistakes, you can't Find out what's not a mistake.
Exactly. That's definitely a great piece of advice. And I say that anytime anyone asks me what would be like one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give an entrepreneur, just don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, I mean, I know people say this is so cliche, but there's no dumb question. Like, there really isn't. When it comes to entrepreneurship, there is no stupid question. Like, there are so many things I just had to learn on my own. And I just was not afraid to ask questions, and just don't be afraid to make mistakes and just learn from them. Don't make the same mistake twice. Like, because yeah, don't do that.
Well, and also like celebrate everything that you've accomplished, right? Like, so here we are. What was it like when you told your daughter, I have bought this building?
So she was the first person I called because there was a lot of back and forth with my lawyer, their lawyer. For any of you that have purchased either buildings or even like a home, that it can be pretty complicated. Like sometimes what the seller presents to you is not the easiest deal to take. I guess things change throughout the process leading up until you sign. If you understand what I mean. Like they say one thing to attract you to the table, but once you get to the table, certain things come out like, oh, well, we want you to pay for this. Or we want you to pay for that and this cost and that cost. I was not having it. So we did a lot of back and forth. I was like, this is not my first rodeo. I already own a piece of property. You're not going, yeah, get out of here with that.
Because you already made the mistakes in the
Right,
first
exactly.
place.
I already
That's
made
the thing.
the
I already just
home.
got. No, I laugh because my whole thing is like, you gonna get got. Just don't get got doing the same thing again.
Exactly.
Because you and I have a mutual friend, and we cry all the time about the gots. But it's, okay, so you done got.
Shout out to Lanye, we love you.
Lanye, we love you so much. No, but like you're not gonna get got again, and so that's the beauty of it, right? You made the mistakes, but on this huge, this life-changing purchase, you were gonna make those mistakes.
I could not. So yes, with this huge life-changing purchase, it took I think 3 days to close. And my daughter was the first person I called, and I called her on FaceTime, and I put the keys up, and I said, "Guess what this is?" And it was literally on my birthday, August 16th. I closed on my birthday. I was so happy. I think I probably did a TikTok video, not a TikTok video, Instagram video, letting everybody know I got my keys. I didn't have anything to put in there, but I have my keys.
I love that. I mean, what a wonderful blessing, because not only have you been successful, but this is what you've been doing it for. You wanted talk to us about being a mompreneur. Like you're not just doing all this stuff and creating these businesses and doing these residencies because you can. Yes. And it's also not because you have to. But what do you want to leave behind for your family?
Good question. I am going to leave everything to my daughter, because you know what? I don't want to work forever. So I'm going to give her this headache. But in the meantime, as I'm raising her, I am showing her how to run everything efficiently, and she's doing an amazing job. Shout out to Cook. I also want to, I think, let me back up a little bit. So I think she takes after me. So, and she's definitely not afraid to take chances. She's a go-getter. She, she's very aggressive. She even started her own boutique, her own clothing boutique. She sells clothing and online. It's called Shop Tier 1, and she has like bundles and clothes, and she dresses me sometimes when I go out. Like even though she's my full-time treatment coordinator and runs both of my offices, right? She takes after me in the sense that she's not stopping there. She has created this platform for herself. We actually together, and you're gonna love this, Nancy. Together we have locked in the TikTok called Black Mom Talk. We just locked that in, and we're gonna start with our posting next month. And it's just going to be it's going to be for, all types of mothers. Like I had my daughter when I was a teenager, so it could be for teenage mothers. My daughter is grown and just gave me my first grandson, so it could be for grandmothers. I'm a grandmother now. You know what I mean? Like we're going to talk about all of those experiences. Like I said, my daughter's 30. This is her first child. We might speak with a mother that will have had like 3 children by the time she's 25. Like, there's just so many different types of mothers that have stories to tell. And we're going to have them tell it in 15 seconds on TikTok.
I love that. It's so key. And that's why I'm so glad that you are here, because there's people listening to this and they might feel like there's just no way. What is your advice to a mom who feels like, because she's a mother, because she has these responsibilities, that she just can't? Because obviously you are proof that you can.
Mm-hmm. My advice to mothers that feel that they can't is there's always a way. There is always a way. The biggest thing is that you've got to be motivated and can't feel defeated. So, being a mom, you already have the motivation. If you're a mom, you already have the motivation. So, there's that. And that should be your drive. I always say, I always say this. So, if you can work a 9 to 5, right, and you can give someone else 9 to 5, you should be able to give yourself at least that many hours. Once you start working harder for yourself than you ever did for anyone else, that's when you're an entrepreneur. That's when you're an entrepreneur. And if you have kids, that makes you a mompreneur.
I love that. That is the best advice. And you are living it. And that is the whole thing. It's like, you don't have to quit your job. You just have to build your way into this. And
There's
you have done an
always
incredible job
listen,
throughout
don't sleep.
this.
Don't sleep. Take time away from your sleeping. How about that? Don't sleep, because it's that important. Like, you going
Dr.
without
Bobbi
sleeping.
is like, I'm not a medical doctor.
Right.
But I'm going sleep
Listen,
hygiene.
go without
What
sleep
is
for a
this?
while. You'll do it when you want to go to a party, right? You'll do it when you want to go hang out, when you go on vacation. No sleep on vacation. Okay, no sleep at home. How about that? And get to work.
Listen, I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this because, and there's a season for everything. Like, now you are like, in 5 years, I'm gonna get a lot of sleep. I'm gonna be at Art Basel with my mom,
Yeah.
who, and it's really funny because a lot of us, myself included, I'm in the sandwich generation. I'm caring for my children and also helping with my mom and now her business, right? Like, I'm like you. I am what I'm going to presume you are hoping happens with your daughter, because my mom ran her business and she was 81, and now I'm over here, help doing her business, helping her exist at 84, 85, and also being my kids. What is it like for you to be part of the support of your mom being able to live her best life, to be at Art Basel, to see you doing all these things?
So it actually means the world to me, Nancy. It means the world to me. When my mother first retired, when I was, at the other office renting, when she first retired, I snatched her up right away. And, she helped me, build my practice. I had been working for a while, but there's nothing like having someone that you can trust, especially with your money. And as the years went on, my older sister, she's a psychiatrist. She got my mom a house in South Jersey, this big house that we call the compound. And I still wanted to hold on to my mom. So you know what I did? I gave her one of the apartments in my brownstone. Like, okay, when you come up here, this is where you're going to stay. When you go back home, you can be at the compound and relax. My mom was a huge support system for me when I had my daughter, and my whole family was. But, especially my mom. And she always instilled in me that you got to keep going. Dropping out of school is not an option. Even though I had her while I was in high school, get your, excuse my language, get your butt out. You're going to school all year round so that you don't miss any years. You understand what I'm saying? So I never skipped it. I never, had to repeat a year or repeat a term or anything like that. That was her that made it like, look, you don't have an option. Going to college is not an option. The option is which college you're going to. And that's just the foundation that I was raised with. So I want that woman to get whatever she wants. She's on my payroll right now and she's in Miami. So it's like she's on the clock right now.
I love it. And this is so great. She is goals, your goals. This is so important. And we've already answered this a little bit, but I can't let you leave without participating in my very favorite segment, which is called Mompreneurs Manifestation. And I want to ask my guests what they're trying to make happen and how we can help manifest success in this universe for you. We've already talked about Black Moms Talk on TikTok, which we are all very excited to start following. Also, before I want you to answer this honestly in your own opinion, but you also have to show everyone behind you the toothbrush collab.
Oh,
That
so
was
you want to do
incredible.
first? You want to share
Because I'm
that?
putting that as a manifestation. I'm going to presume you want more collaborations, but talk to us about what you have coming up and how we can support it.
I'm manifesting that my Big Mouth Toothbrush becomes more of a household name and that it is sold internationally around the world because it's definitely the best toothbrush on the planet, created by me. This, Nancy, this green toothbrush is our newest limited edition. It is a collaboration that we're doing with Rotimi. If you're not familiar with Rotimi, Rotimi's been on Power. He is on The Shy right now. He's also a singer. He just dropped a new album. So Rotimi is Nigerian, and he wanted his color to be green, which for him represents royalty. So this is the Rotimi Royalty Big Mouth Edition. That's the newest collaboration that we have. They just launched and it's doing extremely well. It's available. All of our Big Mouth toothbrushes are available on Amazon. They're available on TikTok Shop and also direct to consumer at our website.
Dr. Bobbi, you and your toothbrush and your tooth gems and your businesses are absolutely amazing. Tell everyone where they can find you and all of your mompreneurship.
Yes, thank you, Nancy. So the Big Mouth Toothbrush is available direct to consumer on our website, bigmouthtoothbrush.com. My office is Aces Braces in Brooklyn and in Philadelphia, acesbraces.com. And yeah, we have lots of sales coming up. Oh, our Instagram, the Big Mouth Toothbrush. My Instagram is I am Dr. Bobbi.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And everyone, thank you so much for listening to and watching Mompreneurs. As a reminder, a brand new episode goes live each Monday on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit urban1podcast.com to learn more. That's urban1podcast.com. Mompreneurs is brought to you by the Urban One Podcast Network and MadameNoire. Created, produced, and hosted by me, Nancy Redd. Executive produced by Allison McGovna and Tanya Hoffler-Moore. Produced and edited by Jiminique Miller.